Well, there's a funny term out there called comity, comity. And, you ask what it kind of
What's
means.
funny about that? That's an ordinary language word. It means getting along with your
fellows.
fellows.
Because what it is it's the kind of situation in which you say there are a set of implicit social expectations that everybody follows, even though there's no form of legal enforcement. And it turns out if you don't have comity, in that sense, you can't run transitions between institutions because there's going to be no trust when one side goes out and one side goes in. And so you try to figure out which of the two presidents, Biden or Trump, decided that they would dash comity in order to get the advantages of a short-term arrangement. Well, Trump never did this. On the other hand, it turns out that there were many people appointed to an architectural commission. Their terms are supposed to last 5 years. But the president says, I can fire you. So either you resign now or I'm going to fire you. And then it turns out he forces them out and he puts his own people in there.
Okay. I'm going to tempt fate here by asking you to expand on your claim that Trump never exhibited a lack of comedy in the way that Joseph Biden has done.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. You try to find cases in which he sort of fires people or changes the rules of the game. It wasn't that. I mean, for example,
he
runs the pipelines and so forth. It wasn't as though when he said that I disagreed with the decisions of the Obama administration, he reversed it. He couldn't do that. And he knew it was a matter of law. Well, what he could do, and his people did it, is they signed an executive order, which essentially got rid of the decision of the Obama administration in December to require an environmental impact statement to complete the DAPL pipeline. Saying that we're going to let the Army Corps of Engineers, which has approved this thing, continue to go forward. And once they did that, it had to be approved by Congress. It was sent to Congress, and Congress did it. It comes now when you get to the Biden administration, you have another pipeline, right?
You're talking about the Keystone XL
pipeline.
And
the day he gets into office, he makes spurious claims about the dangers to health and safety, cancel this thing, probably in breach of contract, no consultation with anybody inside the United States or in Canada, opens the United States up to a $15 billion lawsuit.
The province of Alberta is suing the United States government for this.
Should. This is a very different way to start to handle these kinds of things.
Now, it's only possible for him to do that politically because Trump is so hated by a sufficiently large number of people that to say on day one, I'm reversing Trump's decision place, and no one will bother with the legal niceties that you're trying to invoke here.
I've written several things on my Hoover column trying to explain the way these things going. Or to give you another illustration, he puts Lena Khan, who's not a competent economist. I'm pretty confident about that. She's now the head of the the Federal Trade Commission, huge organization. And the Wall Street Journal had a piece saying, well, she's now trying to break the rules that they used to do, saying you needed to have commissions to issue subpoenas. Now she's saying unilaterally that she can do them. And what's her mission? Her mission is to expose the abuse of American corporations. That's the wrong way to put your mission. Your mission is to try to figure out how to make the system of trade efficient. And if that means protecting corporations, you protect them. If it means attacking them, you attack them. But if you basically say they're always in the wrong, then you basically forfeited any independent judgment on these cases. What does this do? It then leads to Amazon saying, we got to get rid of this lady because she's already expressed a bias against her. I don't like suits to dismiss judges because of bias. Well, you understand why they're bringing it. But what's happened is the whole system under Biden is now starting to unravel, because what you do is you get extraordinary claims of privilege and discontinuity. And then this is followed by a political reaction on the other side. One of the things I ask people is to tell me which criminal prosecution undertaken by the Trump administration was in vendetta.
Which criminal prosecution was?
A vendetta.
A vendetta. Okay. Show me a Trump event pursuing vendetta. Is what you're asking. You can't find any. And you can't find any.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you start looking at what Adam Schiff did with respect to the steel.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they say we have to reestablish democracy. Does that mean more Schiffs? When Nunes actually was telling the truth. Then you get to the FISA court, and they say, well, we didn't hear about this until the other day when all the irregularities came out. And when, in fact, they had received a year and a half before this detailed statement by Nunes, which they said thanks, but no thanks to.
Do you think that the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York is pursuing a vendetta against the former administration?
Well, I haven't seen the cases, but generally speaking, my view is you tread extremely carefully when you sue people for violations that are said to have taken place years ago on the strength of special investigations, which are done because they were politically associated with a former figure. And I'm very much against doing that in any case, regardless of who's going in, not because I think that they're immune from suit as a legal matter. I think in some cases they're not, but it's the same principle about comedy. If you start breaking these things in one direction, then when the other guys start to come into place, it's going to happen. And the same thing happens with the filibuster and so forth. This began when Miguel Estrada, a perfectly qualified man, is blocked from taking a seat on the District of Columbia Circuit Court because people fear that he would be a plausible Supreme Court nominee. And they didn't want the Hispanic speak to go to a conservative, the way in which Clarence Thomas had so-called the black seat. So they did it. And then it's just blackball versus blackball versus blackball. And the whole process starts to break down in a kind of a way because it turns out if there's no trust, you cannot make long-term temporal deals. I can't say that if I hold off today, you're going to hold off tomorrow when you've already double-crossed me. Especially and each side believes that the other one did it first.
In a dynamic political environment where nobody's got 2/3 of the vote, everybody's got 52% or 48% of the vote. So you're switching back and forth all the time.